Hi, my reactors. I'm back with Redbone, and we on chapter 1. Many years earlier, Mama got it wrong about what happened behind the school. 12-year-old Farrah Cotton was stunned silent as she looked at her classmates being handled so roughly by the people she loved most. Hold his arm, babies. Hold him tight. Two, Brownie ordered her children Mia and Shadow as they stood behind a bush in the back of Farrah's school. I want him spread out like Jesus on a cross. A maniacal grin covered her chocolate skin and her pink tongue hung out her mouth. There was nothing more in life she loved than inflicting pain on others and the sight of blood. That's good. Just like that, she coached. Get ready, Farrah, because I need you to pull his shorts down. Without looking into the boy's eye, she pulled down his shorts. Good. Now get his drawers too, Brownie said. With her eyes slammed shut, Farrah pulled the boy's drawers down, exposing his penis. Perfect. Now get ready to kick him where it counts. But what if he get loose and hits me, Farrah asked, this time looking at her classmate, a boy she liked very much. A kid who was just a few hours ago loaned her a few pieces of paper and a number 2 pencil to do her work in class. Her light skin riddled with old sore scars was flushed, and she felt like she was 5 minutes from breaking out in hives. All of her life, she, along with her mother, sister, and brothers, suffered from what they believed were allergies of the worst kind. Although their attacks seemed to be a few and far between, Farrah were triggered by anything from stress to the scent of household chemicals. I don't want to do it. They not gonna let you. They not gonna let him get you, Brownie yelled, growing irritated with her daughter. Are you, babies? We got him, Mama, Shadow said, gripping Dio Cunningham's wrist harder as his older sister Mia grabbed his other wrist and pulled in the opposite direction. Shadow's face was deep chocolate like the rest of their family. Formed a roll of sweat, which he quickly wiped away with a free hand. He ain't going nowhere. When they had a good hold of the 12-year-old's arm, she said, that's good, Mia and Shadow. Keep him right there. Sure thing, Mama, Mia said as she struggled to grab a few more needed breath due to being overweight. This nigga gotta pay for the sins of his mother, she continued, repeating Brownie's deranged words. Brownie smiled in approval. Farrah stood next to her siblings and looked at how they all seemed to enjoy what they were doing to the boy. Her confusion seemed to bring more attention to the fact that she was not like them. If you were to walk into the DC projects they lived in and point out the members of the Cotton family, you would surely pass over Farrah a million times. People told her all the time she was the pretty red one in the family and how she should be grateful she didn't turn out as black as her mother, father, sister, and brothers. Farrah never looked at the difference as a blessing. In her eyes, it was quite the contrary. She never wanted anything more than to look like the people she lived with every day. She felt like an outcast when people would walk up to them, singling her out and say, you're so pretty, even though with scars on your face, and you got good hair too. What she wouldn't give to sit between her mother's legs in the kitchen, have her hair pressed and then styled with green grease like Chloe. How she prayed she wake up with a smooth dark complexion like Mia, but her wish was never granted. Her skin was yellow, her hair was black, wavy and shiny, and her heart was nowhere as hollow as the member of her family. It was true, nothing about Farrah said she was a Cotton, except her last name. It wasn't like the rest of the family wasn't beautiful. When they were fighting and causing problems in the neighborhood, they were quite stunning to look at with their smooth skin tones. They resembled the kings or queens of Africa. But because they were so unruly, nobody gave a F about them. They were ugly inside, so that made them ugly outside too. Please let me go, Theo begged. As long strands of snot oozed from his nose and fell into his mouth, he quickly lapped up the salty nasal mucus to continue his pleading. I didn't do nothing. Stop standing over there looking crazy, Redbone, Brownie yelled, waking her out of her thoughts. Kick him in his private. And do it hard, too, like we talked about. Fur looked at Theo, who was crying harder. I don't want to do it, Mama. She refused. He let me use his pencil at school today. He's really nice. You heard what the F I said, girl. Brownie screamed as she pointed her long fingers in her face. That's why I know you're not no real Cotton. You're not a fighter. And if Cottons don't do nothing else, we fight and defend our name. I am a Cotton, Fur said with wide eyes. Brownie always embraced an opportunity to make Fur feel inferior when she wanted her to do something. Then do it. Fur walked slowly over to Theo, closed her eyes, and with all her might, she kicked in Theo's direction. Ouch! Mia screamed, rubbing her knees. Open your eyes and do it, Fur. Mia knew her sister was scared, but she also knew if she didn't do as she was told, she would end up in the worst trouble with Brownie. So what? He had gave you a pencil. We your family. Kick him. So she didn't move, and Brownie was growing impatient. Do it, Fur, Shadow encouraged. Keep your eyes open and look him in the face, too. Using pig Latin, which his mother didn't understand, he said, which meant, I don't want Mama to F you up. Hearing her brother's words this time with her eyes wide open, she kicked him hard between the legs. Theo screamed out in pain and his body fell forward. Let him go, Brownie said. They released him and Mia and Shadow laughed at the child crying out in pain. Brownie walked over to him and stood over his little body. She was a grown woman orchestrating the beatdown of a child, and she was emotionless. Y'all go on over to the car, she pointed up the hill. Your father's waiting. Don't spoil the surprise either. I want to tell him what happened myself. Before they left, Shadow kicked him in the stomach before Mia Hall spit on top of his hair. Fur, on the other hand, didn't budge. She wanted to help Theo out and tell him how sorry she was. He was the only friend she had at school, and now she was certain that he hated her. Come on, Redbone, Brownie said, putting her hands on Fur's shoulder. You did good today. When Fur didn't move quick enough for Brownie Tay, she yelled, Bitch, you get your red ass to the car. It ain't like the little nigga dead. He just got his nuts pushed up. She laughed. Oops. Worried her mother would order her beat down next, she followed her family to the father's car. They all jumped inside, and the moment the last door was closed, Asher Cotton sped away from the scene. That's the father. In the car, everyone but Fur seemed to be glued to the news announcement voice over the radio. A few days ago in Virginia, a pregnant teenager girl was stabbed to death in her stomach and face along with her father. After a proper investigation, they learned that her boyfriend, who was dumped beside because he hit her in the stomach in an attempt to abort the baby, murdered her. When the boy frantically escaped the scene, he left his high school ID and a knife with his fingerprints on her bed. When he told his mother and father about what happened, they were distraught, but decided to help him cover the crime. The plan was to get his ID and knife. After wiping the fingerprints away, but they didn't account for her father being home from work early. Unaware that his daughter was murdered in the room, the boy's parents killed him and went on the run. Somebody recognized the boy and alerted the police. Everybody in the neighborhood was up in arms about the heinous act except for the Cottons. I hope they don't catch him, Officer said, turning the radio down. The little bitch probably deserved it. They were probably in Mexico now, Brownie responded, waving at the radio. Y'all get him good, Officer Asher asked his children, who were in the back seat. He put his Marvin Gaye tape in the deck and cruised down the road on the way back to the house. Yeah, Dad, Shadow smiled. We did everything Mama planned. Just like we talked about, right? What you think? Brownie asked. These my motherfucking kids, and we talking about, they were born for war. She crossed her thick, sexy legs and wiggled her foot. We ain't come here for nothing. He laughed. You might have pushed them out that fat ussy of yours, but it was this nut. he said, gripping his penis, that made it possible. You right about that, she laughed and lit a cigarette. Brownie looked at Mia and Shadow, who were smiling slyly in the back seat. She hated that head hung low as she looked at her shoes, which was teamed with D.O. blood. What's wrong with Mama and Daddy, Fur thought, looking at everyone. I don't want to be like them. He was my friend. You thirsty, baby girl? Asha asked Mia, waking Fur out of her thoughts. You know it, Daddy. She rubbed her ashy hands together. The smoke from her mother's cigarette choked the air. Y'all thirsty too? Shadow nodded and Fur said, yes, Daddy. Asha tossed 18-year-old Mia a beer and threw Shadow and Fur and RC's Coca-Cola from the small cooler in front. I want a beer too, Dad. Shadow pouted, frowning at the drink. Now if you want your tea for a beer. I drank the soda, Shadow said, defeated. That's what the F I thought. Focusing his back on Brown, he said, did he cry? They swear the boy tougher than our son. So if you ain't make him cry, it won't make no difference. Asha handed Brownie a beer to open for him. She popped the top and handed it back. He whined like a She smiled, trust me. Asha had already gulped down his beer as he continued down the street. I bet you he won't be playing on no football now. He laughed and sensed that his own son couldn't even stand outside in the sun for long periods of time because his skin would blister. His children's condition was so bad at times that he would often stay out of the house for days at a time just to avoid hearing their cries. I want them useless at the football game on Saturday, Brownie. Trust me, he was crying like an inch. Brownie laughed. Mia and Shadow beat his ass, and then Mia kicked him in the nuts. She was laughing so hard she couldn't contain herself. You should have seen him holding his hands between his legs with his mouth all open. She slapped her knees. I'm telling you, they ain't going to get the message now, and the boy ain't playing no football. It's okay, because if that don't work, we will break his arms. He definitely won't be playing then. Asha looked at his half-crazy wife, leaned over and kissed her passionately while barely looking at the road ahead of him. He almost hit a car, and the driver bleeped loudly to avoid a collision. Fur jumped and held on her brother's arm, praying they didn't get into an accident, since her condition could also be a little difficult. Shadow whispered, it's okay, Fur. Don't be scared. Daddy got the car. The smallest matters always went from 0 to 100 when she was with her family. Every day she was learning traits that wouldn't suit her well in life. Asha broke away from his beautiful wife's kiss and looked at the driver who had just beat them out. Since both cars arrived at the light, Asha rolled his window down and taunted the man. He was angry all the time and loved antagonizing others. Watch where the F you going, nigga, another Asha yelled, pointing his gun in the car direction. Unless you want me to bury you in that inch, Brownie added, aiming her gun also. The driver was so alarmed that he sped away from the scene with his life in tow. Asha snickered and could feel his penis growing rock hard because of all the excitement. They crazy. Every time they got into shit together, he wanted to bend his wife over on the front of the Lincoln and F her in her anus. They were delirious in love, and they could not see life without savagery and pain. The Cotton family, with Archer as their lead, was a group of effing troublemakers, and everybody in Southeast D.C. knew it. That didn't stop them from moving about the city as if it were not true. Many said the world would have been better off if Usher had never stepped to Brownie the first day he saw her. Many years back, when Usher Cotton pulled up on Brownie Johnson in the summer of 1972, it was a match made in hell. Before meeting the woman who would soon be his wife, Usher was a small-time street thug whose heart was filled with rage and confusion. Although he was violent, women doted on him, not because of his smooth chocolate dark skin or fit body, but because he was unpredictable, and that made him dangerous and fascinating. If he wasn't robbing hard-working seniors of their paychecks, he was defrauding insurance companies by purposely getting into car accidents. Usher had a hustle in mind at all times, never wanting to miss an opportunity to hit his big payday. After leaving the bank one Thursday on June 29th from cashing in one of his get-rich-quick schemes, he spotted the sexy, bow-legged female his eyes had ever seen. She was stacked like an Amazon with fat breasts, shapely and thick with pretty legs. Although he approached her with lustful ventures in mind, the average man would have kept it moving because nothing about Brownie at that moment was appealing. She was dripping her own sweat, barefooted, and wearing a pair of dingy blue jean shorts and a white-smelling t-shirt. Her fists were balled up tightly as she fought off three light-skinned females who were tired of her effing with their family. Brownie Johnson loved to cause chaos. It was her life work. If she said it was Thursday, she probably said it was Friday just to get a rise out of you. And if effing with your head didn't evoke the right response by missing it, she'll throw a F your mama insult your way, knowing that will always do the trick. On the streets of D.C., Brownie slashed more faces of a beautiful light-skinned woman than the most popular Beverly Hills plastic surgeon. Her name rang bells, and who is that? And if you were in the presence and your skin was lighter than the color of a paper bag, you better split. Hold on, y'all. Tamir, you talk to EJ? Huh?
While you were
Yeah.
here? Let me tell you what happened to me when I went to the store. Oh.
You talk to EJ?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Let me tell you what happened to me. Tell me why. I went down Minnesota, right? But you know it's transit. So, you know, I can't really knock transit for doing their job. Tell me why they put their hands on me.
Transit?
Yes.
For what?
I said, they was like, if you're not paying, you can't go on the train. I said, okay, I understand that, but let me call somebody. The man trying to reach out and grab my arm and force me, put me out the station. I said, curse every last one of them out. Don't touch me. I understand that this is your job, and I told you that is okay, that you don't want me to get on the train. That's fine. But don't touch me.
Right.
I told you let me call somebody. You don't know if I was lost.
Right.
You don't know if I needed help. You don't know if it was an emergency. Don't touch me.
Right.
Like, that was so crazy to me.
Girl, they crazy. That's why I don't mess with them public transportation. But back to the book, y'all. And then I'm just going to read chapter 1. I'm almost finished. Okay, I got 2 more pages. So, her name rang bells. And if you were in the presence and your skin was lighter than the color of a paper bag, you better split. It wasn't only that she hated a lighter woman. She derives a sick pleasure out of seeing people cry in the color of blood. She and Usher were undiagnosed sadents. On the day Usher pulled up on her, the girls she was fighting were tired of being afraid. They decided to approach her when she was off guard, slashed up her face, and break her finger so she would be out of slicing business. They hadn't counted on Usher getting involved. Seeing her fight for her life, Usher parked his silver Lincoln and strolled out of the car. At first, Brownie thought he was coming to help them, so she pulled out her switchblade and pointed it in his direction. You's a pretty-ass nigga, she said, looking as fly, brown suit and crocodile shoes. And I sure would hate to stab your ass. But if you come near me, I'ma slash you to the white meat, I swear. He laughed at the woman he thought was stunning, even at her worst. Directing his attention to the three sisters, he said, what can I give you ladies to drop whatever beef you have with this sister? He reached in his pocket and pulled out a wad of cash he just gotten from the bank, envelope included. Brownie looked at Upshaw and then her enemies. She knew their beef ran deep, 2 generations deep. Their family didn't like her dark family members, thinking they were too ugly because of their skin tone. Brownie family couldn't stand their mixed breed members, thinking they believed they were better than the world. Society prepared the media with inconsistent image of beauty, and they were all brainwashed. This itch is going to get the business today, Sister One said. So why you don't just crawl back in that Lincoln and move to wherever you came from? I see she's unreasonable. He looked at Sister Two. What do you say? He raised the cash bundle. You want to make some paper or not? Why don't you mind your effing business? Brownie interrupted, eager to add their faces to the list of slashes she created over the years. I don't need no effing help from you or nobody else. He laughed and said, listen, Hedge, you can talk swiftly to these 3 sluts over here, but you're not going to speak to me like you effing crazy. Now, I'm trying to save your life, and when I do, you owe me, and you better be good at it, too. You got an understanding? Brownie had never met a man who talked to her so seriously, so she remained silent. Most men knew about her cousins and wouldn't dare break bad, knowing it could be a hazard to their health. Like I said, he continued, focusing back on the woman, what can I offer you ladies? The sisters looked at each other, and Sister One said, unless you plan on killing this inch, you can do nothing for me, man. Then they turned to Brownie and Sister Two said, well, we'll see you again. Count on it, Brownie said, wiping the sweat off her forehead with the back of her hand. When the sisters walked away, he offered Brownie a ride, and she accepted. Curious. She wanted to know what kind of man Usher was, and although she had a boyfriend named Jay, who she'd been with since high school, he never wanted to be with her in public. Before long, she started spending more time with Usher and less time with Jay. It wasn't long before they realized they both shared the same sick personality and traits. They both loved street bossing because of his gore and violence, and they both wanted children. They drank hard and played hard, and after a while, only the sickest pleasures would entertain them properly at the end of the day. Their happiness meant others would have to suffer, and that was the bottom line. So that's how they met. Okay, present day again. You my crazy baby, Usher said as he tossed the empty beer can in the cooler and went to grab another. He was still thinking about the driver they just scared off. He handed the beer to Brownie so she could open it. You know I would kill if you left me, don't you? What you think I'd do to you? Brownie smiled, handing him the beer. Thinking back on Theo, Brownie said, I bet you that itch will stay out of our business now. She was referencing Theo's mother, Danette, who used to be her good friend, telling Mother Uggers we had something to do with that robbery at the convenience store last week. That itch just jealous we ain't let her and Tommy in on that shit. Everybody know when it comes to busting a gun, he suckers up. I hear you, but I told you before that you gotta watch who you hang around. Now you finally see what happens when you don't listen to me. Stuff goes wrong. Usher, Brownie, Danette, and Tommy were very close when all of a sudden things changed. Fur wasn't allowed to play with Theo, and Danette stopped accepting Brownie calls. And that hurt her because she was her best friend. What she didn't know was the real reason Danette isolated Brownie was because last month, Danette came home early. When she walked down the hallway, she heard a lot of painting and moaning. Opening the bathroom door, her heart sank when she saw her husband Tommy bent over on the sink as Usher put his penis to his whoa booty. Although Danette never said a word for fear of what Usher might do, she also never forgot. Usher, that shit will never happen again. Trust me, I learned my lesson. She paused, thinking about all the nights she and Danette talked about life only for her to cut her off. Good, because none of them itches is that in that building are our friends. He looked into her eyes before focusing back on the road. You hear what I'm saying? And this car right here is where it's at. I'm the only friend you need. As her parents spoke among themselves, she thought about her mother's recollection of the events behind the school. Although Mia and Brownie held his arms, it was she who had kicked him between the legs. To some, it may have been irrelevant, but Fur needed all the credit she could get since she was already an outsider. Daddy, she said. Right, Daddy, she said again. At first, Usher didn't hear her, so she spoke louder. Daddy. Usher turned the music down and said, is that my Redbone calling me? He looked at her face in the rear view mirror. Yes, Daddy, she smiled, circling the top of her soda can with her fingers. What's up, baby? Mama got it wrong. She swallowed. About what happened behind school, I'm the one who kicked Theo in the penis. Brownie turned around, reached in the back, and slapped her in the face. All 5 of her fingers immediately showed up upon her red skin. F you lie on me like that, fool, she pointed. That's your problem. You too effing grown. The moment she drew her hand back, Usher grabbed Brownie's throat so hard she thought her windpipes was going to flatten. With one hand on the steering wheel and the other on the neck, he pulled over to the side of the road and parked his old Lincoln. With her throat still in his grasp, he pointed the finger on his other hand in her face. Listen here, Inch. You might be tough out there in these streets, and I don't doubt it one bit, but I better never see you hit one of my kids like that again. He squeezed tighter, and a tear rolled down her face. You hear me, you black Inch? She nodded, and he released his hold. Brownie rubbed her neck and sat angrily in the seat with her arms folded over her breast. It was bad enough that she was cursed with a child, the same complexion of the people she hated most. To make matters worse, her own husband wouldn't allow her to discipline her kids like she saw fit. No worries, though. She would simply wait until he was out on one of his drunken binges with his friends, and when that happened, she'd give Fur exactly what she deserved. And that's the end of chapter 1, y'all. So we'll pick up with chapter 2 soon, but not too late. And it will start off as you gotta learn that you're blessed because of your complexion, Fur. And you gotta know some folks may resent you for it too, her grandmother Elise. And I'll see y'all later, my reactors. I hope y'all enjoying the book as much as I'm telling it.